Chairman Chabot, Subcommittee Chairman Kelly, Ranking Member Adams, members of the subcommittee, and members of the full committee. Thank you for inviting me today and for the opportunity to offer testimony on the work of Mortar and more specifically, the value of our partnership with SCORE. Today, I would like to share why I believe that Mortar and our partnership with SCORE, a national nonprofit that mentors aspiring and existing entrepreneurs, represents our best chance for everyone, regardless of background, to achieve full participation in the American dream. Founded in 2014, Mortar works to create diverse communities by enabling historically marginalized entrepreneurs to access the resources needed to start and run successful businesses. Utilizing non-traditional methods, we take risks on an entrepreneur's abilities to start and grow businesses where others may not, providing an unparalleled connection to technical assistance, pop-up retail spaces to test ideas, and flexible friends and family-styled microloans to grow businesses. Our Business Academy, for example, which works with mostly low-income African-American entrepreneurs, has a 96% graduation rate and is considered a model program across the country. We exist because we believe that there are minority men and women all across our country, especially in our inner cities, with an undeniable amount of world-changing talent. People like my father, Dennis, who through athletic potential was adopted by his white high school football coach, giving him the opportunity to become the first person in his family to graduate from college, to become a published author, and father 3 amazing kids. One of them, my twin brother named Desmond Braziel, is serving our country as a captain in the United States Army. Another example is Mortar graduate Means Cameron. Last Friday, I met with Means, the owner of one of America's hottest clothing brands, Black-owned, and his SCORE counselor, Jim Staley. And if you're nice to me, I promise to bring you all a t-shirt. They were meeting with me because Means, despite being college educated and the founder of a successful, hip streetwear company, needed access to capital to grow his business. To see Jim, a white, seasoned business executive, working with Means, an African-American millennial entrepreneur from the inner city, seamlessly working through a sophisticated business plan brought tears to my eyes. Jim's experience, coupled with Means' resourcefulness and Mortar's resources, will help Means continue to succeed. The reality is that many people like Means will never have an opportunity for their dreams to be realized without support from organizations like Mortar and SCORE. Our partnership with SCORE has helped Mortar graduates to exceed national business averages. For example, we know that of the 170 graduates of Mortar's program, 132 are still in business, with 71% engaged in our alumni support network. We estimate that in the past year alone, our entrepreneurs have added $1 million to our regional economy. One graduate, Brian Jackson, is on pace to open Cincinnati's first Black-owned brewery. The work of Mortar is just getting started. We recognize that by partnering with organizations like SCORE, great things can happen. In 4 short years, we've worked together to offer 13 of our accelerated courses in 5 Cincinnati communities, and every graduate has received a mentor from SCORE. We've opened 3 additional pop-up spaces, and SCORE continues to help us evaluate the feasibility of future expansion opportunities. In addition, we're applying our framework in Milwaukee, testing our approach to community and economic development for the first time outside of Cincinnati. We recognize the power in bringing together people of different backgrounds around a common shared passion for entrepreneurship. As a result, we have forged lifetime bonds between people whom we have never met otherwise. Moving forward, our plan is to continue partnering with SCORE, working to teach entrepreneurship in communities where the next Steve Jobs, Kanye West, or Walt Disney may live. We see a country where there is a Mortar in every inner city corner, where the crazy dreamers who see the world differently will be encouraged, inspired, and trained to change the world. Thank you again for your time and for allowing me to testify. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Braziel, and thank your twin brother for his service to this great nation. I'm always, Mr. Braziel, you discussed the success of the partnership between SCORE and Mortar in your testimony. How does this partnership harness the existing knowledge within the community to enable small business success?
I would say that the folks at SCORE are able to offer for our entrepreneurs are invaluable because they bring with them, and many times, decades of business experience that our entrepreneurs would never have access to without having that relationship with SCORE. I would say that the value of a successful business person is the network that they have. And SCORE brings not just a network of other coaches, but their own personal networks. Our SCORE coaches have provided so many connections just from that initial interaction. So for us, there's a value in resource exchange that SCORE offers, but it's also the networks that SCORE is able to offer for the entrepreneurs that we're working with.
And once again, I mean, it's so important to know where the resources and the things that you need to do that, but it's also important for people to believe in you,
right,
and to know. As my daddy used to tell me when I was a kid, he said, you know, we're often scared to do things because we're scared of being told no or failing. And my daddy always said, you start at no, and if you don't do anything, you stay there. So I think all of these organizations do that. I think they help people get off no and to do things and to have as least chance possible of failing, but they encourage them.
Describe the efforts made to recruit volunteers from different backgrounds and how that has impacted the business ownership in your community.
Yes, I would say first and foremost, SCORE has stepped to the plate and provided the lion's share of the volunteering for the entrepreneurs who are going through our program, and that's been an amazing partnership for our organization. I would also say that from that experience, many other people who may have maybe been nervous or anxious about working with our entrepreneurs have stepped forward to sometimes even double up to volunteer and provide business support for Mortar graduates. I would say in a lot of ways, the Mortar program and our partnership with SCORE has become an example to our community on how race relations can continue to improve. We have mostly, again, low-income African Americans, and SCORE sometimes can be a little seasoned and white. But our folks are coming together around a shared common objective, and the partnership is amazing. We do these surveys at the end of every class, and 5 is a perfect score from a satisfaction perspective, and no survey has gone under 4.6 out of 5. So that initial relationship with SCORE around business coaching has been amazing. And I'd say there's a multiplier effect that now we're seeing someone from our board who's an African-American male. He has now joined SCORE's core volunteers, and he is now providing business support for other not just graduates of Mortar's program, but other participants who go through SCORE. So I would say that Mortar has provided this great example of what's possible, and we're seeing a lot of growth from our volunteers.
Thank you very much. I've got 38 seconds.
I think a lot of times we expect for successful entrepreneurs to look a certain way, to speak a certain way, to behave a certain way, but a lot of times there are entrepreneurs who are out there who may not understand social norms. So maybe they use slang, or maybe they have misspellings in their business plans, and despite all those things, they still have a valuable idea, and if given an opportunity and some access to capital, they could be successful. But until we're able to dismantle some of the biases we have around successful entrepreneurship, those folks will continue to be left behind.
Okay. I'm a small business owner. What regulation would you cut if you had the opportunity, and address the workforce? I'm having trouble with, you mentioned, Mr. Braziel, people coming to work. They've either never worked before, or they don't have the basic skill set to interact with people. How do we address that? And we'll start with Mr.
I would say the Jobs Act has been a great start to open the flow of capital for entrepreneurs, but I would say that, again, what we're looking for from the threshold to have people even able to access those initial resources can be very challenging for people that are coming from a different culture. I would also argue that even though somebody may not speak or behave based upon traditional social norms, they still, in my opinion, could run successful businesses. I like to often give this example of when I go to my local Kroger down the street, I get asked all the time if I want to ride. And in my opinion, that same idea could have been translated into an Uber. It's ride sharing. However, there's not the access to technology or capital or whatever it might be to start that kind of a business. So I would say that if we can do more to unlock the flow of capital for those kinds of entrepreneurs, the better.
Let me ask you, follow up with this. Now, how would you do that? How I mean, when you go for a loan at a bank, you've got to have, they have shareholders too. How would you say do that? I mean,
sure. I would say, let's say you're my uncle, which would be an honor, and it was Thanksgiving, and I said, could you loan me $500? I doubt that you would ask me for my credit score, for collateral, for some of these other things, because you know me and you know my track record. You would hopefully give me a loan. I think the same thing could apply to how we offer access to capital for disadvantaged entrepreneurs, just to give them a leg up. Maybe it's lower amounts of capital, but we can lower collateral, interest rates, et cetera, to still give them an opportunity to at least test their business ideas.
With respect